Right, strap yourself in for this one, because it's gonna be a belter. We're diving right into the deep end, the day wading through some of the most outrageous, controversial, and downright daft opinions from the Celtic support. It's one of those videos. You know the ones. The ones where folks say things they probably shouldn't, and I, like a dafty, decide to read them out loud and react to them. But hey, that's the fun of it, eh? Now you might be wondering, where's all this madness come from? Well, truth be told, I woke up this morning and realized there was no real Celtic news to talk about. No transfer chat, no pressers, no injury scares, no even a dodgy rumor to grab onto. It was bone dry out there. So rather than sit on my backside and do nout, I turned to the one place I knew would have something brewing. The Discord. Our wee online Celtic haven where opinions fly faster than Kyogo in behind the high line. So I jumped in there, fired off a message asking for folks' spiciest takes. And lo and behold, I was met with a tsunami of Celtic hot takes. Some fair, some pure nonsense, and others that made me question if folk actually watch the games. But that's the beauty of it, innit? It's passion, it's frustration, it's love. And it's all coming straight from the heart of the support. Before we get rolling, I should say this ain't just for a laugh. This is about channeling that energy we've all been feeling recently. Let's be honest, the last few weeks haven't exactly been a joyride. That defeat to Hibs hit hard, especially after the European disappointment we were already carrying. And then the Derby loss just before the international break. At home, nay less. Well, that sent folk into meltdown online. The reaction was nuclear. Some wanted the manager out. Others wanted half the squad punted. It was chaos. So this video in a way is therapy. We're taking all that emotion, all those opinions, and throwing them into the mix. And where better to start than with a player who has had more ups and downs than a lift of Parkhead Rayo Hatade. Now here's a lad who splits opinion like few others. On his day, and that's the phrase everyone uses, isn't it? On his day, he looks like he could play for any side in Europe. The touch, the vision, the way he glides past players. It's magic. But then there's other days, and there's been a few this season where he looks completely off it, and folk are starting to lose patience. One of the opinions that came through said he's like a Japanese in charm. Brilliant when he fancies it invisible when he does nay. And to be fair, that comparison's got some legs. We've all seen games this season where he just disappears or gives the ball away far too often. But still, it's hard to write him off, isn't it? There's no denying the talent's there. It's just the consistency that's missing. Now some supporters have taken it further, saying it's time to cash in this summer, take the money, and reinvest. And honestly, I get the logic. If a decent offer comes in and he's not delivering week in, week out, maybe it's worth considering. But I always say, be careful what you wish for. We've seen it time and time again. Sell a good player, think we'll replace him easily, and then end up regretting it for years. Rio's still young. He's still got bags of potential. And if he can stay fit and focused from now until the end of the season, he could be the difference in tight games. But if he continues to fade in and out, well, I can see why some folk are ready to move on. But just when you think everyone's given up on him, in comes another supporter saying he's been our best midfielder this season. Better than Matt O'Reilly. Better than McGregor. Better than Home. And look, that's a stretch for me. I can't agree with that. Rio's had his moments, sure, but he's not been the standout. Not for me. O'Reilly's been on another level, especially in the first half of the season. And McGregor's McGregor, always 7 or 8 out of 10 even on an off day. But again, that's the beauty of this video. It's all opinions, and none of them are entirely wrong. Now, speaking of controversial shouts, someone dropped in saying that Carter, Vickers, Hatade, and O'Reilly will all be moved on in the summer. Now, first off, let's calm down. Will be moved on. Nah, I'm not having that. Especially not Carter Vickers. The big man's a rock. You don't just move on a player like that. If a mega offer comes and he wants to go fine, that's football. But the idea that we should be actively looking to sell him madness, he's the kind of player you build a defense around for years. As for Rayo and Matt, I can see them attracting interest. That's fair. But again, do we want to be constantly rebuilding? Constantly selling our best players and hoping the next signing hits the ground running? If we want to make progress in Europe, and we do want that, then we got to keep hold of our top talent, even if they have a bad spell. Because let's face it, every player dips in form now and then. And that leads me nicely onto the next opinion, which properly raised my eyebrows. Someone reckoned that Kuhn stopped trying after his goal against Bayern, like he was just playing. For the cameras, showing off for a Bundesliga move or a call-up. Look, I get the frustration. He's been quieter lately, but to suggest he downed tools that he's not giving his all. Come on now, that's harsh. The boy's been brilliant this season. His numbers speak for themselves. Goals, assists, link-up play. He's been involved in so much of what we've done well. Form dips. That's just football. Even the greats go through it. I remember Rooney having stinkers, Kane going 10 games without a goal. It happens, but we're so quick, especially in this support, to turn. 1 or 2 off games and suddenly the player's finished. Nah, that's not fair. Kuhn will be back. Whether that's in the run in this season or next year, he'll show his class again. I'm certain of it. Anyway, we've got loads more to get through. This is just a warm-up, really. But I think this is a good point to pause for now. Moving on then, and still riding the wave of hot takes from the Discord, the next one had folk divided straight. Down the middle. It was about Gustav Lagerbielke, and someone said he deserves another chance in the Celtic squad next season. Now look, I get it. The big man was written off far too quickly, and brought in with plenty of promise talked up as one of the best young centre-halves in Sweden, and then barely got a sniff before he was punted out on loan. But here's the thing. He's doing well over in the Netherlands. Reports are saying he's caught the eye of Ajax scouts. He's been solid for FC Twente, and he's looking like the player we hoped we signed in the first place. But let's be honest, none of us are watching Dutch football week in, week out. We're not glued to Eredivisie highlights checking every touch he makes. We're going off what the papers say and what folk online are chatting. So I can't say with any confidence that he's suddenly ready to walk into our first team. But at the same time, if we spent decent money on him and now he's showing signs of quality abroad, why not bring him back in preseason and give him a proper look? What if we got a lose that said? And I need to be honest here, we can afford to rely on maybe players, especially at the back. Center half is still a position that needs depth, needs quality, and we can't go into another season underprepared. So, if Lagerbielke is good enough, brilliant, keep him around. But that shouldn't stop us from looking to strengthen that area regardless. We've got ambitions beyond just the domestic front. Europe demands more. So while a second chance for the Swede might be fair, it's no the solution in itself. Now, one of the least controversial takes I seen was about Paulo. Bernardo, someone said he should start every game when he's back fit. And you know what, I'm inclined to agree. To a point. Bernardo was really starting to grow into that midfield before the injury. Proper, tidy player, great energy, good eye for a pass, and looks like he's genuinely passionate when he's on the park. And I think a lot of the fan base misses that way. Bit of spark he brought, especially when certain other midfielders have gone a bit off the boil lately. But let's be realistic, he's not going to come back and immediately play every minute. He'll need to be eased back in. Fitness will take time. But if he gets back to the level he was showing just before the knock, then he should absolutely be a starter, especially in those big games. We've seen what he can do. Now it's about getting him sharp again and back in the mix. The lad's got potential to be a real asset for his long term or short term, whatever happens with his deal. Right now, here comes the name I swore I'd stop talking about. Giakoumakis. Yes, we're still on this. It's 2025 and folk are still desperate to get the big Greek back. One person even said we should have never let him go. Another said he was better than Ida and cheaper too. Look, I love Giakoumakis. I really did. You can go back and watch the videos. I was probably one of the loudest fans saying he should start over Kyogo at the time. He was my kind of striker. The aggressive, physical, good finisher, never afraid of a battle. But he's gone. He made his choice. He left for the money, went to the MLS, and now he's in Mexico. That chapter is closed, and we need to accept that. Football moves on. Players come and go. We can't be clinging to the past like that, especially when the player himself made it clear he wanted the move. Maybe he would have banged in a few more goals than some of our current options, but wishing he was still here doesn't fix the issue. What we need is more striking depth. Now, regardless of whether you rate Ida or not, the reality is we only have one recognized number 9, and that's just no good enough. So if we're talking about what to do going forward, it's simple. Bring in another quality striker, one who can push Ida or even replace him if needed. But let's stop acting like Giakoumakis is coming back through that door. He's 30 now, settled elsewhere, and he's not returning to Celtic Park. Time to move on. Another take that caught my eye was about Callum McGregor retiring from international duty. Someone said it was a brilliant decision, probably extended his career by a couple more years, and I couldn't agree more. Look, I'm not one to tell a player what they should do with their national team. It's a personal choice. But for McGregor, an outfield player who's played hundreds of games at high intensity, it makes perfect sense. Less travel, less risk of injury, and more time to recover between games. And it's not just about longevity, it's about availability. We've already seen what happens when he's missing. The team's tempo drops. The composure in midfield vanishes. He's the heartbeat of the side. If retiring from Scotland duty gives us another season or two of prime Callum McGregor, then I'm all for it. It's no controversial in my book. It's common sense. Now let's talk about the youth. Someone said the fan base is too quick to judge academy players. That we expect every youngster coming through to be the next Tierney or McGregor, and we write them off the moment they will fall short. And there's a bit of truth in that. We can be a harsh crowd. The pressure on young players at Celtic is massive. One bad touch, one poor pass, and suddenly folk online are saying they're useless. But here's the flip side. Most of them just aren't ready. That's not harsh, it's just the reality. Playing in the Lowland League is miles away from a Scottish Premiership. The step up is massive, and when you're trying to win every game, fight for trophies, and compete in Europe, you can't afford passengers. So while we should absolutely give chances where we can, and support these lads when they get them, we also need to be realistic. Not every academy kid is going to make it. That's football. That's life. The talent gap is huge, and we need to stop pretending every player in the B team is a superstar waiting to happen. And honestly, it's not just a Celtic issue. It's a Scottish football issue. We're not producing the same level of youth talent we used to. Look at the national team. Look at the under-21s. It's dry out there. So while I'm all for giving our own boys a chance, we also need to be scouting smart, signing clever, and not relying solely on our youth system to plug gaps. Now, before we wrap up this bit, let's touch on one of the spiciest opinions from the whole lot. Someone said the Ange era was overrated, that his lack of European success proves it, and that the Rodgers era now is more enjoyable. And here's where things get heated, because that really depends on what kind of supporter you are. Some folk loved Ange's style, the high press, the fast play, the aggression. Others prefer Rodgers' more controlled, measured approach. Me, I've enjoyed both. But I'll tell you something, this season, especially in Europe, has felt different. I traveled to Munich. I saw us go toe-to-toe with Bayern. I saw us play with bravery at Parkhead. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. That belief. That pride. That Celtic belonged at that level. So while I love the Ange days, and I'll always have time for the football he brought, I can't lie. I've enjoyed this season under Rodgers more. That's just my view. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean you're wrong if you disagree. But if we're talking enjoyment for me, it's about how I felt walking out the stadium or watching on the telly thinking, we gave him a game. That's what it's all about. And right before I go, there was one take that nearly had me fall off my chair. Someone said a swing is coming next season. That Rangers will push us all the way. Maybe even win the league. And it'll all change after the next derby at Ibrox. Cam, if you're listening, are you sure you're not a secret Blue Nose only joking pal? But seriously, I hear this every single year. And yet every single year we're the ones lifting the trophies. Until they actually do it, I'm not buying it. Simple as that. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The Scottish football scene has been buzzing with excitement as Celtic's interest in Alexis VEGA has turned heads across Europe. The Mexican forward, currently playing for Liga MX side Toluca, is fast becoming one of the hottest prospects in international football. With his impressive skills on the ball, a knack for scoring crucial goals, VEGA has caught the eye of Celtic, who are looking to bolster their attacking options for the coming seasons. VEGA's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. From his debut with Toluca in 2016 to his landmark move to Guadalajara in 2018, where he became one of the club's most expensive signings, his rise in Mexican football has been meteoric. His time at Chivas saw some unforgettable moments, including His stunning hat-trick against Atlas in 2019, which solidified his place as a star player. Despite a turbulent spell, including disciplinary issues, Vega's return to Toluca in January 2024 only reaffirmed his ability to dominate on the pitch. Celtic's interest in the Mexican forward comes at a time when the club is eager to strengthen its squad ahead of key European challenges. With the attacking line currently relying heavily on a handful of players, manager Brendan Rodgers has identified Vega as a potential game changer. His versatility, able to play both as a winger and a forward, could add a much-needed spark to Celtic's attacking arsenal, bringing both depth and creativity to their front line. What makes Vega so enticing to Celtic isn't just his talent, but his international pedigree. The 27-year-old is a regular member of the Mexico national team, showcasing his capabilities on the world stage. His recent performances, particularly in the CONCACAF competitions, have only increased his profile, with Celtic looking to expand. Their influence in global markets, a signing like Vega would not only strengthen the team, but also create a marketing boom, tapping into the vast Mexican fan base. As the transfer window looms, Celtic's pursuit of Alexis VEGA is poised to become one of the most exciting stories of the summer. Fans are eagerly awaiting the next chapter in this saga, wondering whether Celtic will pull off what could be a transformative signing for both the club and Scottish football as a whole. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.